but we can't take our eye off the ball from the Russian threat.
Which all makes it very interesting that this new refit of the Downing Street press briefing room along the style of a sort of White House image has been carried out by a Russian company. Couldn't we find a British company, Foreign Secretary?
Oh, well, it's interesting, Nick. We're not saying that we've got a problem with the Russian people or the Chinese people. Indeed, if you look at, for example, on the Chinese front, the British-Chinese community make an incredible contribution here. And we're not saying all businesses from either of those two countries are bad. Far from it. We want to be an outward, open-looking country. And of course, in relation to any government contracts, we want to get the best value for money. And yes, of course, the big emphasis on buying British, but ultimately we want to get the best value for taxpayers' money.
But it doesn't strike you as odd, as you quite rightly identify some of the issues that we've had with Russians, that the company that's been used, while it's not part of the government, has worked in the past for Russia Today, the state-controlled broadcaster, and they're now fitting out the number 10 press briefing room. You don't see this as a strange decision?
No, I think if they're engaged in interior design, Nick,
and all the other kit, computers and comms, as it's called.
Any of that stuff, as you'd expect, will be very carefully checked by our own authorities. So I'm not worried about that for a second.
Why couldn't we get a British company on, lastly, on this?
Well, I think rightly many of your listeners, of course, would like to see British companies.
This is a great pinnacle of British achievement. The British Prime Minister with the Union flag behind him, and others. I'm sure we'll see you there, Foreign Secretary. We may see Priti Patel, and brought to a waiting nation through Russian technology. What does that say about Great Britain?
Well, it won't be Russian technology.
It's all Russian chemists, all been fitted out by Megahertz, a Moscow-based firm. All the technical
I think in the typically wonderfully mischievous way, you're eliding various things. But the reality is we're an open, outward-looking country. We want foreign direct investment where it's safe, where it can be done without risk to our own country or dirty money making its way into this country. But that is part of our shtick, our USP as Global Britain. And that's one of the ways that we'll project power through the force of our economy, strength of our attractiveness in the world, coupled with everything that we do abroad, from trade to security to our aid budget and our development policy, as a force for good in the world. And all of that is important for Britain, both in terms of creating the jobs of the future, allowing our startups to scale up by exporting to all of these other countries, but also being a force for good and solving some of the international challenges, from climate change to this pandemic, as we've already seen with the AstraZeneca vaccine.